Now, at the time that you made the statements that are referenced in that document on December 28, 2022, did you know that you were going to have to come into court and testify about those statements?
No, I actually didn't think I was going to have to come in the courtroom and testify.
Why did you think that?
Because it said, if needed. So I didn't know if you was going to need me or not.
Do you recall who all was in the room with you at the time that you made those statements on December 28, 2022?
When I initially?
No, when you said that they were true.
I never said they were true, Ms. Love. I initially, but this ain't nothing that I brought to your attention. You brought this to my attention. I never been in the room with anyone and said this stuff was true.
All right. We'll come back to that.
Right.
All right. At the time that do you remember addressing these statements in court ever?
Yeah, I remember, like I told you yesterday, I remember when I signed, I was going to be able to get on the stand, and if you call me and explain my truth of this, but this nothing that I directly told you. This agreement, I never stated any of this stuff in this document to you or anybody else.
All right. Do you remember initialing certain terms of your plea agreement called sentencing acknowledgments?
We went through this yesterday, Ms. Lord.
Do you remember initialing terms?
No, I don't remember.
Looking at page 5 of 7 of State's Exhibit 444 Yankee. Without reading it out loud, does that refresh your memory?
What number you say?
Page 5 of 7.
Considering the solemn oath that he took when he said that he understood every term within the plea agreement, factual acknowledgments, and sentencing acknowledgments, and understood and, in fact, orally answered that he understood when both asked by the prosecutor and the court at his plea hearing that a failure to abide by any of the terms would constitute a violation of the agreement, and he was notified that the entirety of his probation could be revoked. I do appreciate the fact that this particular violation is a non-violent violation, but I also appreciate the fact that some of the many why this could have occurred include the fact that there is just not a proper regard for the judicial system and the seriousness with which an oath in court needs to be taken. I actually view this much more akin to perjury, frankly, than a technical violation, and the sentence for perjury is up to 10 years. I am going to revoke 5 years of Mr. Sledge's probation. And Mr. Sledge, I am sympathetic to the fact that you have generally stayed out of trouble, and I want to commend you for that. And I really hope that this revocation doesn't set you back. But we've got to take seriously the court system. So that's the sentence of the court. I find there to have been that violation. I'm revoking 5 years.
And reinstating
he will be continued on probation, Your Honor?
And reinstate the balance.
Thank you.
Might I ask, is it possible for my client to turn himself in to make arrangements?
I think y'all knew when you came in here that this was a strong possibility. So, no, I'm sorry. All right, court is adjourned.
All right. Hey, what's up? It's your girl, Neek, and you're tuned in to Neek at Night. And tonight we're going to be talking about how Mounk Tounk got his plea deal revoked, his butt was sent back to jail, And it was all for him not participating and playing ball in this YSL trial. Now, if you guys have been watching, or maybe you have not, Mounk Tounk is a guy by the name of Antonio Sledge, who was indicted in this RICO act with Young Thug and all of the other co-defendants. He took a plea deal and he had 30 years hanging over his head. Now, in his plea agreement, he agreed that he would get on the stand and he would say that YSL is a gang. He agreed that he would give them information about the murder of Donovan Thomas. And he agreed that he would basically throw YSL under the bus. And if he failed to go and do anything in that plea agreement, he could face 30 years in prison for violating his probation and the plea agreement that they set forth. Now, in the midst of them putting together this plea agreement, there was some things that he and his attorney wanted to get changed that did not get changed. However, they ultimately signed the plea agreement, agreed to those terms. He was released from prison or jail. He was released from jail, and he was able to live his life up until the time that it was for him to testify in the Young Thug trial. Now, once he got on the stand for the Young Thug trial, he did not cooperate. He did not tell them that YSL was a gang. He did not play ball in the manner in which they wanted to. He very much embarrassed them. They end up calling his attorney to the stand. The attorney basically made them look like fools. And for that, they decided that they wanted to revoke his plea deal and send his tail back to jail. Now, all while he was testifying, I kept making so many comments, and I was just like, oh my God, he is clearly violating his plea. He is not doing what he said he was signed up to do. And they let him know, even when he was on the stand, you know that you got 30 years hanging over your head, right? And he continued to testify in the manner in which he chose to. I'm going to show you guys an example of how he was testifying when they were asking him certain questions as far as if YSL is a gang and things like that. And then I'm going to tell you what I ultimately feel about it. And I'm going to talk about Lil Woody after that as well, because Lil Woody is not in the clear. Now, Lil Woody has immunity in this trial and testimony, but he did not have immunity as far as perjury. And we're going to get into that in a second. But first, let me pull up other video of Mounk Tounk. We're going to talk about Lil Woody next, okay? Because he was not absolved of perjury. And he very much did do that on a stand. Now, let's get into the manner in which Mounk Tounk was testifying and give you guys an example of the things that was being said. Now, I'm going to speed up this. I'm going to speed up this playback so that it goes a lot faster. And we're going to get on into it. Oh, I already have it at 2. All right.
What do you understand associates to mean?
I don't understand what it means.
We'll come back to associates.
Right.
Do the 3 or more members of YSL that you are aware of share any common identifiers?
Has an answer.
Overruled. And I asked you, so you YSL is not a guy?
And then if you could say yes or no.
No.
Have you ever been a part of a gang called YSL?
I just said no.
Would you please tell the jury if you know whether YSL has 3 or more members or associates?
You said, do they have 3 or more associates?
Let's start with members. Does YSL have 3 or more members?
Working members?
Does the organization, we'll call it, have 3 or more associates?
What do you mean by associate?
What do you understand associates to mean?
I don't understand what it means.
We'll come back to associates.
Right.
Do the 3 or more members of YSL that you are aware of share any common identifiers?
What you mean by identifier? You gotta be more specific when you asking the question.
Of course. Colors. Do the 3 or more members of YSL typically tend to wear the same colors?
We wear all type of colors. They wear all type of colors.
Is that a yes or is that a no?
I can't answer yes or no to that question because they wear all type of colors. You said they have Pacific color?
Do they wear any particular colors? Yes. That represents YSL.
No, not no.
Okay. What about hand signals? Do the 3 or more members of YSL that you know of share any common or use any common hand signals?
Have I seen 3 or more of them use the hand signal?
My question is, do the 3 or more members of YSL that you just referenced, do they use common hand signals?
Yes.
Tell the jury about the common hand signals they use.
What you mean?
You just said yes. Did you not?
What you mean? I can explain to you the hand signal, but I know it if I see it.
Can you show the jury?
I can't show them.
Why not?
It's not an individual handshake.
I didn't ask you about a handshake.
That's what you said.
No, I said hand signals.
Oh, I don't. What you mean by a member?
Well,
You got to be more.
earlier, did you testify that YSL has 3 or more members?
Yeah, I said business wise.
And what did you mean when you testified it has 3 or more members? What definition did you have in mind when you gave that
Is
testimony?
this against the law to be a member of?
No, Mr. Sledge, I'm curious about something. Did you hear me at any time bring up a crime?
I say it's against. I never said you brought up a crime. Ask the question
Why did you ask me that question?
because I want to know specific what you're trying to get at. How could you just get on that? What you're trying to get at?
Would you please tell the jury what difference the answer to your question makes as it pertains to what 3 or more members of YSL you know about?
You said 3 or more members I know about.
Yes, my last question was, why did you ask me, is it against the law to be a member?
I already told you 3 members I knew.
Thank you. Would you please name those 3 members that you know?
Stevenson, William, and Kendrick.
Now, would you tell the jury why you asked me, is it against the law to be a member?
I was asking you a question like you asked me a question.
I hear you. I'm
No
asking,
reason.
do you
No
understand
reason.
that?
I don't have a reason why I asked you that question.
Okay. Did you want me to answer it?
I would like you.
Your Honor, I believe that the witness's reasons for any of the responses that he gives to my questions are relevant, especially when they come in the form of that type of question.
That's not an objection. Just ask your question.
Okay. Did you want me to answer the question?
No, you don't have to answer. Go on with your other question.
Earlier, you testified that Mr. Williams was around 15 when you met him.
Yes, 15, 16, one of them.
Would it be fair to say you met him around 2006, 2007 then?
No. Mr. Williams is what, 33 and I'm 43? So I met him 2009, I remember, because I just got out of prison.
Okay. Did you meet him at the park too?
Yes,
And did you meet his mom, dad, and sisters after you met him or before?
after.
And was that just going to his house and stuff like that?
Me and Jeffrey Williams,
Particular language that they have in common or that they use, other than average run-of-the-mill English?
could you repeat that question?
Yes. Of the 3 or more members of YSL that you know of, is there any particular language or words that they use that is besides the run-of-the-mill common English language you find in a dictionary?
Objective run-of-the-mill you find in the dictionary? Nobody speaks like a dictionary.
Overruled.
I can't say because the whole world is speaking bunny, so I can't, like you say, in a dictionary. I wouldn't know what's in a dictionary. I don't look in a dictionary.
Okay.
So I don't know if the word you're looking for in the dictionary or it's not in the dictionary.
The word slime. Have you heard of the word slime?
They got a whole place called slime. They got a slime event. So yeah, I don't heard the word slime. You got a play thing that you can take your kids to for the.
All right. So that's just an example of how he was testifying. He was not basically giving them the things that he agreed to in his plea agreement. He was dancing around a lot of what they had to say. And he contradicted himself a couple times in his testimony. He would say one thing for her, like play dumb. And then when it was time for the defense to get up on the stand, then he would, recall and say certain things. And the reason why I say that Lil Woody is next is because they told him, or the judge basically told him, that she considered what he did perjury. Now, if you guys remember, when Lil Woody got his immunity deal, they made it very clear to Lil Woody that perjury was not something that he was absolved from. If he got on the stand and he contradicted himself and he told any fibs on the stand, that would be a violation of his immunity deal, and they called Lil Woody out several times on the stand and reminded him that he was not absolved of perjury. Now, people who were not paying attention and they only watched clips of the trial, only thing that they saw Lil Woody say is, I don't recall. There was several times where Lil Woody would break out of character and break out of his I don't recall, and he would speak about certain things certain times. There was specific times where Lil Woody would go on his tangents and say I don't recall, and then he would answer some of their information and give them information, and then when it was time for the defense to cross-examine Lil Woody, he suddenly recalled a whole lot, and then he started the charade, and they reminded him that he did have a immunity deal, but that did not absolve him of perjury. Now, let me go back to the reason why this judge said that she revoked his probation, and then I'm going to show you when they warned Lil Woody about what his agreement was and how he was not absolved of perjury himself. Now, if I need to do a separate video and show all the times where Lil Woody contradicted himself and said one thing and then said another, I can definitely do that. But people who have been following the trial should be able to realize what was going on. But people who don't have comprehension and they only seen clips, like I said, all they saw was I don't recall, when it was much more to Lil Woody's testimony than that. He was giving up key things, he was admitting certain things, and he gave them some, but he also contradicted some as well. So let me pull up, hold on. Let me go back to when she talks about him doing perjury. And then we're going to go to Lil Woody. And then I'm going to give my opinion about the whole thing.
And understood, and in fact, orally answered that he understood when both asked by the prosecutor and the court at his plea hearing that a failure to abide by any of the terms would constitute a violation of the agreement, and he was notified that the entirety of his probation could be revoked. I do appreciate the fact that this particular violation is a, I do appreciate, in fact, orally the plea agreement, factual acknowledgments, and sentencing acknowledgments, and understood, and in fact, orally answered that he understood when both asked by the prosecutor and the court at his plea hearing that a failure to abide by any of the terms would constitute a violation of the agreement, and he was notified that the entirety of his probation could be revoked. I do appreciate the fact that I don't view it as a technical violation or akin to a technical violation, considering the solemn oath that he took when he said that he understood every term within the plea agreement, factual acknowledgments, and sentencing acknowledgments, and understood, and in fact, orally answered that he understood when both asked by the prosecutor and the court at his plea hearing that a failure to abide by any of the terms would constitute a violation of the agreement, and he was notified that the entirety of his probation could be revoked. I do appreciate the fact that this particular violation is a non-violent violation, but I also appreciate the fact that some of the why this could have occurred include the fact that there is just not a proper regard for the judicial system and the seriousness with which an oath in court needs to be taken. I actually view this much more akin to perjury, frankly, than a technical violation. And the sentence for perjury is up to 10 years.
All right. So now let's go on over to when they talked to Lil Woody about perjury. Now, what I want to tell you guys is this was a clear message to everybody who was on the stand, who already took the witness stand and played in their face, and anybody who is coming to the stand that needs to testify going forward. This was a clear message that if you play with us and you don't play ball, we are going to come for you and lock you up. I think the reason why they picked Mounk Tounk first, because he was the most clear that he just totally did not abide by what he was supposed to do in his plea agreement. He was the easiest one to check off the list, and with them being able to send him to jail and realizing that the judge is going to take this seriously and take the matter in which they choose to sign their name on that dotted line, agree to these deals and all of that, and they decide not to fully abide by them. This is a message to all of them. Now, everybody else who is coming up, I bet you either they gonna stick firm in their I don't recall, or you're gonna see a little bit of a shift in the way that these witnesses are testifying. Trust and believe it. And everybody keeps talking about how Lil Woody did not have a plea deal. He had an immunity deal. And what he did as a part of that deal, which is an immunity deal, is he did violate certain terms of said deal. Now, again, this is a message to all. You're not in the clear. We just got off the first one that we can make an example out of because he had the largest amount of years hanging over his head. He had 30 years hanging over his head. He knew that he had 30 years hanging over his head. He knew that this is what he needed to abide by when he went on into the court, and he chose to just completely not play ball. Now, he gave them certain information and he did answer certain things, but the key things and the reason why they really wanted him to testify, he did not do that. So, you said he was on probation. That's why I literally just said a deal. Plea deal, immunity deal. They're both deals that if you break them, they have consequences. Okay? He broke his plea deal and they revoked his probation. Lil Woody had an immunity deal. Now let's get into when they talked about the perjury on the stand, and they put Lil Woody on notice as well about him perjuring or potentially perjuring himself on the stand. Now, again, not everybody can follow. They only think like this, but I'm trying to help y'all think like that. Okay, let's get into it. So let me make myself smaller and let's get into this part right here.
Hey, look at me like that.
Okay. Mr. Copeland, isn't it true that you're supposed to be testifying under an immunity agreement?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't have a clue about none of this stuff. I told y'all from the start, y'all to put me in here. Like, I don't comprehend. I done told y'all that time after time. I don't know what the immunity agreement is. I don't have a clue. Like, I'm up under so much pressure. Like, man, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer y'all question because I don't know what type. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to be as truthful as possible, and y'all keep going back into the past. Like, I told y'all when I was talking to y'all in the back, man, I have lied, and y'all don't put me up on here telling me that I gotta be truthful when I'm telling y'all. Man, I don't know. Man, I'm afraid for my life. Every time y'all call me here, I think y'all finna take my life, take my freedom. And at this point, I can't call on nobody for help. I don't know what's going on.
Were you told before you testified that anything you testified to in the courtroom could not be used against you?
Can you say that again?
Before you took the stand, were you told that anything that you testified to in court could not be used against you?
What you mean?
Before you took the stand, were you told by myself, Ms. Love, anyone sitting at this table, that anything you testified to could not be used against you?
Anything I testify to can't be used against me?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, last week, didn't you ask the judge? You turned around and you asked her, nothing I said could be used against me, right? And you asked the judge?
Okay.
Okay. And isn't it true that under this immunity agreement, you were told that you could be charged with perjury?
You say I could be charged with who?
Perjury.
I don't even know what perjury is.
Okay. Were you told also in this immunity agreement that you could be charged if you committed false swearing?
I was told, I asked specifically so I can understand. I asked you, I said, what happened when y'all locked me up? Y'all told me two things I go to jail for. If I plead the fifth, and if I say that I had committed a crime that I didn't do.
Okay.
So I don't know what perjury mean. I don't know. I mean, I'm afraid for my life, and I told y'all that. I told it to my lawyer. I tell it to the judge. I tell it to everybody. Y'all got me up here. I don't know what's going on, and like I said, for the crimes that y'all charged me with, I went to jail. I did all my time for it. Y'all still bring me in here. I feel like I'm on trial at this point. I'm going to jail because I don't know. Y'all got me up here asking me questions. I don't know how to answer these questions. Y'all want me to be a witness to something I don't know nothing about.
Isn't true that even with the immunity agreement, you did not want to testify?
Can you explain it?
Sure. Even when you were given immunity, you did not want to testify.
I still don't want to testify.
And isn't it true that you feel that you were pressured by the state to testify?
I feel like I was pressured by both sides, the state and the defense.
Okay. And is it true that you told me in front of these jurors a couple of weeks ago you felt pressured to testify?
And I still, right now, I feel pressured to testify. Because it's not like I'm up here it's not, I can't sit here and tell y'all, nothing. I don't know what y'all want me, I don't know what y'all looking for. I didn't see nobody kill nobody. I didn't see nobody rob nobody. I didn't see none of these boys do anything. I did some stupid things. I got caught for the stupid things that I was doing. And I just went from there. Like, I didn't. And then y'all got me up here, and I done told y'all before y'all put me up here, y'all can't talk to me on like a Tuesday or something, and you can't talk to me in the streets. And I told you, like, I lied. And I told you that, and then y'all still brought me in here.
Isn't it true that you did not want to testify because you don't want to deal with the reality of being labeled a snitch?
Miss Hilton, I was being labeled a snitch way before I had to come to trial, when y'all linked that video out to the social media. So the world look at me as a snitch no matter what goes on to this day. But me coming here, like, I have put my faith in God's hands, and I come here and I let it be known. I guess got no choice but to be letting know to y'all now that I have told y'all time after time that I done lied.
Okay. And a snitch is someone who actually tells the truth, correct?
Listen, Miss Hilton, like, I feel like I got the world on my back now. You ask me these questions, like, I don't know, man. Like, y'all draining me. I mean, like, for real. It's a different if I sat here and seen somebody commit a crime, and then I saw them with my own eyes do this, and then I get in here and say, I didn't see them do that. Y'all want me to sit here and say, the stories that I have put on other people's, and I didn't. Like, I would not do that. Like, and Lord knows I want to be with my family and my kids, but if y'all gonna put me back in jail because I won't sit right here and tell y'all what y'all believe to be whatever y'all want me to say. Like, I mean, I don't want to go to jail, but man, at this point, man, y'all got me, man. I don't know, man. I can't sleep at night. Like, I tell you, y'all hold me in jail, don't feed me, don't give me water. Like, I just don't know. Like, every time I walk in this door, I pray and hope I walk back out this door. I just want to be left alone. I paid for my punishment. And I done told y'all before y'all put me right here in this seat. Time after time. I told Judge Glanville in his office. I done told everybody, I can tell. And I'm telling you to your face, I know it don't have anything to do with you doing your job. But I've been nice to you, and I've been telling you. that you can't put me up here and I told you I done made it up.
Okay.
It's a difference if I seen one of these guys actually do something and you ask me, did they do it? If you ask me, did they do something that I actually saw them do it? And I would tell you, yeah, I saw him do that. Yeah, I was with him when he did that. But this is not the case.
Okay. And you just told police what Demekion told you, correct?
I told the police anything to get them off of me. I was going through a phase. People were shooting at me while I had my kid. And my only priority was, by any means necessary, to protect them with my whole fucking life. Judge, I give a minute because they drive me crazy.
Yeah, take a minute, take a breath.
Keep telling y'all.
Stay here. Come here. Stay on the stand. Take some breaths. Calm down.
And once he finishes his breath, Your Honor, state, we conclude our questioning, Your Honor.
All right. So I just wanted to bring that part up because at the end of the day, they were warning them one by one. Now, playing dumb and acting ignorant is not an excuse or a defense in committing perjury and committing certain acts under oath. Like the whole, well, I didn't know I couldn't do, like, that's not really gonna help you at all. The whole, oh, well, I just signed it because I just thought that I could just still do what I want to do. It's not really going to help you. Now, my prediction is that in order for them to be successful in locking Woody up, they have to get a conviction out of one of the members that is on trial. Now, the way that perjury works or whatever is they have to prove that you lied, okay? And by proving that he lied, they would have to then prove in a court of law that one of the things that they allege is a fact. Now, while the case is still ongoing, yes, Woody is going to be out and about. Yes, he's going to be doing 20v1s. Yes, he's going to be living his best life like it's golden. But as soon as this case concludes, if there is a conviction out of any of the people that is one of the defendants and one of their charges is tied into one of the things that he perjured on the stand, he absolutely will be next. Okay? And so a lot of people are feeling like, oh, well, I see him out right now. Oh, they didn't do nothing to him right now. Yes, because it's a game. Okay? YSL was out too for a time until they put down that indictment. It's a strategy. And the reason why they are doing the things the way they are doing them is purely out of strategy. It's a strategy, and it's a reason why they chose Mounk Tounk to send back to prison. It's a reason why they are putting Love on the back seat of this case. Now, can't nobody make me believe that that woman has not been demoted, because at the end of the day, if Young Thug does not get convicted, which they have not proven their RICO against Young Thug, I'm not completely sold that each member will go scot-free. They have a lot of information against Shannon Stillwell, and it does not look good for Yak Gotti either. Now, they both have amazing lawyers. At the end of the day, Max Sharp, Doug Weinstein, Brian Steele are all amazing lawyers. But at the end of the day, when those jurors go in that jury room and they get to deliberating, they're told to deliberate based on the facts. And there are certain facts that show guilt to Shannon Stillwell and Yak Gotti. Now, they have not proven the guilt so far for the other members, in my opinion, but those two I feel like are going to have a very difficult time, and they still have another murder that is going to come up in trial. The Shamel Drinks murder still has not been talked about yet, so there is more to come. And at the end of the day, I think that although I don't think that they have a strong RICO case or will prove their case, every time they have a witness on the stand or a detective testify and they read those limiting instructions and they say, this particular testimony only applies to Shannon Stillwell. This particular testimony only applies to Yak Gotti. That means when they go in that jury room, there is going to be a jury instruction to find all of them guilty, none of them guilty, or you can single out certain members and find those particular ones that you feel did participate or are responsible for certain alleged acts. You can indict them individually. There's absolutely going to be jury instruction. Do you find Shannon guilty or not guilty? Do you find Yak Gotti guilty or not guilty? Do you find, and although Young Thug may get a not guilty because they have not proven their RICO case, that does not mean that other members will have the same fate, because there is strong evidence against some of the other members. And if you say that there's absolutely no evidence at all against them and there's absolutely no proof whatsoever to anything that they did, you're either extremely biased, you don't have good comprehension, or you're just simply just not really watching the case. Those jurors are definitely taking notes. And although they do see the shady stuff that Miss Love is doing, they could possibly take that into account. They could possibly say, you know what, this has been a corrupt trial. This has been totally corrupt. And we're just going to say not guilty to all despite the facts. That's possible. But it's also possible that they can hold the individual members accountable for the individual acts that they are alleged to be responsible for at the end of the day. Thank you for the compliments. Hey, Medea, shout out to her. She is definitely holding it down on a Nature Boy News still. And shout out to the moderators and everybody in the chat. But yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. I believe that this was a clear message. I believe that's why Ashley Merchant is making sure that her client is well prepared. He has the best attorney for the job to prep him, because a lot of the problem is the prep too. Like, when you go on the stand, there's a lot of preparation that that a good attorney is supposed to prepare you on how to navigate certain questions. You can tell the people who really don't have great representation the way that they answer certain questions, but I bet you, I'm willing to put money on it that you're going to see a different type of testimony from Ashley Merchant's client. And she's making sure that if her client does talk, he has an immunity deal in place. And that is, it's crazy, crazy, crazy. But is there anybody who wanted to? It definitely should have been a mistrial long ago. I'm not going to negate the fact that it should have been a mistrial long ago. However, they didn't grant the mistrial. They have a lot of political things wrapped up into this. You can tell that this is politics overall. And I'm gonna agree with what King AK-47 said in his video, that this was something that even if they don't get the successful unanimous verdict of all guilty, at the end of the day, they are able to show that they are willing to be tough on crime and sweep up the streets and not afraid to do it no matter what. And one thing that, I will agree with is if they're able to show stats of the crime rate before they got locked up, the crime rate after they got locked up, and if it has decreased significantly since if gang members like YFN and Young Thug and all of these big guys from these groups, if the crime has not decreased, then it won't look good for them. But if they're able to prove that the crime levels are down, everybody in their mama's house ain't being shot up and all of those things like that, then certain people will be able to levy this trial for their political gain in levying a position in certain offices. You could just tell the way that DA Love was litigating this case that it was personal for her. And it's not just that she has a vendetta against Young Thug. It's personal because she wants to make a name for herself up out of this. And she already has, I think they said that prior she was a judge for a little while. So this definitely is something that they're trying to use to levy to get, political offices and things like that. So let me know if any of y'all want to come up and say your spiel before we you said if a mistrial or dismissal is granted, I wonder would they let Mounk Tounk out. I think that regardless if there's a plea, if there is a mistrial or not, he violated his terms of his testifying. Like, he was supposed to do, he had a role in this trial and he failed his role. So I'm not sure that they would let him out. I don't think so. And I don't think that they're going to grant a mistrial. The only thing that will possibly grant a mistrial is if, let's say, 3 of the people on the jury suddenly get up and move out of the Fulton County. They already had, I think, 2 jurors already move out of Fulton County, or 1 successfully moved out of Fulton County and was able to get off the jury. Now, if there was something that happened with a jury where a jury member says, I'm completely biased, I'm not going to be able to vote fairly, it's going to be contingent on the jurors if there is a mistrial. There's nothing that, if they didn't grant one by now, I can't foresee anything as actually causing the mistrial. You said you want to come recruit me, child. Y'all funny. The prosecution has made a lot of mistakes. Yes, they have shown a lot of unethical behavior, and time again, attorney DA Love has been berated, and it looks like, and I'm not sure if she's completely taken off the case, but it looks like she's definitely taken a back seat. They have this new DA, Abbott, who has come in, and it looks like he's taking the position of first chair. Now, at first, DA Love was first chair, but now they have this guy, Abbott, who is coming in, and he's not doing a great job, in my opinion. But to me, it looks like they put him as first chair. Miss Love has taken the back seat. We haven't seen her much in court all week. I think she probably appeared, I want to say like maybe once this week. If that, like maybe once. And she hasn't been seen much since. But today we seen her bright and early. She was there with bells on at Mounk Tounk's revocation hearing for his probation. And she was there, but she was not the one arguing. This new guy, Abbott, was arguing. So therefore, I believe he is the first chair now. Now, they haven't announced that to us, but that's what it looks like. Now, I don't know factually if that's what it is, but that's what it looks like, that he is the first chair and he's the one taking over, which if they were going to give anybody first chair, to me, obviously it's based off of experience, and you get kind of these type of things based off of how long you've been litigating. And maybe Atkins probably doesn't have as many years under his belt as this guy, but in my opinion, the DA Atkins is much better than him. Atkins, when he gets up there, he is clear and concise in his questioning. He clearly brings your attention to what he's trying to ask. He's very sharp. This guy, when he's cross-examining, he sound like me when I don't know what the heck I want to talk about. And I'm like, yeah, so, like he's constantly saying, his voice is annoying. He doesn't have that commanding of the room. You know what I mean? So I feel like if anybody should have got it, it should have been Atkins, but he probably won over with experience. Let me play a little bit of the beginning of the hearing.
Testimony in which Mr. Sledge did testify, and I believe the court during, I think it was day 125, helped direct the defendant to sections 4 and 5 of the plea agreement during the testimony for him to focus on and read and to go one by one and acknowledge or disavow is the only word I could really think as to being no longer true and testifying under oath that he was violating the special conditions of his probation, Your Honor. So at this time I would tender States Exhibits 1, 2, and 3 for the court.
All right, I'm not quite sure I understand what 3 is.
3 is a USB drive with all of the testimony of the defendant. If Your Honor wants to preview it or wants to be part of the record.
Is that from the official transcript?
Well, it's the YouTube link, the live stream of all of the...
Okay, I'll just take judicial notice of it. I mean, if you want to make an exhibit, that's fine, but I'm not going to.
All right, so let me highlight what Zaraya said, and let's talk about this right here. And then let me highlight the definition of being demoted. Okay? Let's talk about these two things. Okay. So what I believe is happening with Love, I believe, and obviously I don't know for a fact, but what I believe is she's been demoted, okay? Where they lower her rank, she got to take a back seat, and somebody else comes up to sweep up and do what they got to do. Now, her demotion or her being demoted, if it could be temporary, pending investigation, or it could be for the duration of the trial. However, I believe, and don't believe this at all. I mean, I don't believe this at all. As far as, oh, she's just upset because she's receiving so much hate. She doesn't like the cameras in there. Number one, let's just read what Zariah says. She's been there. She's been sitting further back because of the recent hate she's been receiving. She hates the cameras in there. This, you said somebody said she was sick. We've seen her with a cold, barely could talk, still questioning witnesses, still making sure that she argued the judge down. There's several things where she is talking about, let me put demote on here. So this is the definition. It says, when you give someone a lower rank or less senior position, usually as a punishment, the head of the army was demoted to deputy defense secretary. So what I believe is she has been demoted. I don't believe that she is first chair at this time. Now, could she get it back? Possibly. But right now, I believe that the reason why she's sitting in the back and she's not taking up these important arguments that she normally would take, sick or not, backlash or not, is because of the lashings that she has been getting and the unethical behavior that she has been showing in the trial. Now, we have seen her try to argue the judge down, sick and all. Oh, judge, I don't really have a voice right now. I'm kind of sick. And then she just talk, and you be like, well, damn, I thought you was sick. I thought you did, child. I don't believe it has anything to do with the backlash. She's been getting backlash this entire trial. She's been getting backlash forever. Okay? She's not scared of backlash. She tightens up and she pretends to be sweet for an hour and then she gets back into her routine. Okay? I don't think that that's it at all. I think that she did something, and what was in question was whether or not she was sending messages to Deputy Sprinkles, while he was on the stand. Now, there was video of him having his laptop while he was testifying on the stand, and there was video of her with her laptop with what looked like a possible exchange. Now, it has not been said to us that that's what happened, but they definitely questioned Deputy Sprinkles about it. And after they questioned him about it, we seen her in there like one time with her laptop turned sideways, rolling her eyes at the cameras with an attitude, and then we ain't seen much of her yet. We seen Deputy Sprinkles testify again today, and he didn't have no laptop on that stand no more. And we didn't see Miss Love communicating with him at all. So like I said, I believe she's demoted. I believe that she got to take a back seat, whether it is pending investigation or for the rest of the trial. But it most definitely appears that the guy Abbott is first in chair. He's the one taking up the important arguments. And that's normally the main prosecutor's job, like to argue the big stuff. He's been arguing the big stuff all week, fumbling through it, not doing a good job, and all of that. When they had revoked the testimony for Dennis, they called him in there for backup. He fumbled through his words and all of that, and that's just what it is. Like I said, this was a clear message, and it is what it is. That's what I feel. I feel like they're sending a message through all of this. Yeah, you can still call in. Hold on. Y'all didn't say y'all wanted to call in, so I didn't open up the lines. Hold on. Let me open up the lines. But I'm if y'all don't click the link, don't say y'all want to come up and call in and all that, and then y'all don't call in and click the link and all that. All right, let me give y'all the link. Right, Zaraya. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to tell you, I believe she is definitely demoted. But there's the link. Click the link if y'all want to come chime in about it. And y'all let me know what y'all think. Like I said, I think that it should have been a mistrial. But being that it ain't, the show has gone on. This is what we got. So I'll stay on for a little while longer. Y'all make sure to hit the like button. Also, make sure to bless the channel with a Cash App or a Super Chat if you appreciate the commentary, the content. You can always support via Cash App. You can support by simply liking the video, sharing the video, and you can also support by going to my website, www.neekatnight.com, and let's get into some of these calls. Hey, B. Whoa.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I've been watching you for years, Nick and Night.
Oh, shout out. Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to say that I believe this trial is going to be in our heads for the next several years, because no matter what happens, if they're convicted, if they get convicted on the RICO or not, someone's going to get convicted, and there's so many opportunities for appeal because of the way that they've handled this trial. there's going to be so many opportunities for them to appeal in the future. So I feel like this is a defining moment for Atlanta, for Georgia, because they really, Fannie Willis, I believe is her name. She stepped out and she put herself on like this fast track. Some would say to justice, some would say to foolishness, or to being fired, because she wasn't prepared for this trial whatsoever. The people that she picked for the trial don't seem to have prepared themselves, even though they had ample time. So I just think that this is not gonna
think who's
end
gonna be
anytime.
fired? You said Fannie. You think Fannie Willis is gonna be fired?
Yeah, I think that once the people of her county see that she's wasted so much money on this one particular trial, I don't think they're going to be happy with that. If she doesn't get a conviction, especially on the RICO.
So what you mean is you don't think that in this upcoming election that's right around the corner, you don't think she's going to be reelected because she's the elected DA,
right?
And that's going to be decided in the
November.
Election. Yeah.
And I think Miss Love, the things that they've been doing during the trial, I've never seen a prosecutor get yelled at so much by the judge. It seems like a lot of the things they're doing, either she's incompetent or they're just trying to get away with cheating instead of just trying it fairly. But I've never seen a judge have to like admonish a prosecutor so much.
Yeah, I think that they definitely need to stick to the case instead of trying to do little shady stuff and backdoor stuff to try to get in evidence. Just focus on the pertinent parts that prove your case and stick to that.
Right, because we do want people to be punished if they've committed a crime, but you have to go about punishing them the right way. Like that's what our system is based on. So I think that they're gonna I think Young Thug is gonna get off. Like even the fact that they're calling him Young Thug in the courtroom, they're saying Thug instead of saying Jeffrey Williams. I think that's prejudicial.
Well, that's his name. That's his rap name. I mean,
but it's his rap name, but he's not in there as a rapper. He's in there as a gang member.
But his rap status is what they've tied into all of this as well. So, I mean, that's his name. He decided to name himself Young Thug. He could have named himself as a rapper Billy Bob. He chose Young Thug as a name.
Young Angel. Right.
He could have chose that, but he chose Thug. So,
I feel like that is so prejudicial to the jury
against him.
But I appreciate everything you do. One thing before I go, I wanted to ask you if you could update us on the case of that guy named Dominique that was also in Atlanta at the Opera nightclub. You did some coverage on that some years ago, and then I haven't heard much about it since then.
I'll have to look into it.
You know what I'm talking about? The Opera nightclub.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking my call.
All right. Thank you. Was there anybody else who wanted to come up? If not, we're going to be out. Zaraya says, Fannie has the black churches, older black people, the black elite, and sororities. Child. I mean, and the other lady that is going up against her that is claiming like, oh, if you vote me in, I'm going to get rid of this trial. I believe she was asked a question like, okay, well, if you get elected as the DA, are you going to like fire Fannie Willis or whatever? And I'm relaying what somebody else relayed, but they said that she said, and I didn't see her say it firsthand, but according to folks who was keeping up, they said she said something along the lines of, oh, I don't know, like, I don't know. So it's like, you don't even know if you definitively would fire Fannie. How you just gonna be so for sure that you gonna just get rid of this case? I feel like that's cap. So I don't really know if she really got a leg to stand on, and if she really gonna win it over Fannie. I doubt it. And I don't really see her going on the major people who are covering this case for publicity. There's so many people who are covering this case that are doing numbers, and I don't see her going and speaking to them at all. So, you know, me not living in Atlanta, like, I should definitely know more about the Kramer girl or whatever. But, child, we'll see what happens. I'll talk to you.